And in our top stories this evening, President Adam Barrow enters the second phase of his Meet the People's tour as the entourage begins meetings in the Upper River region. Vice President Dr. Aissata Toure discusses with the German ambassador means of strengthening ties between Banjul and Berlin during a courtesy call at State House. Deputies at the National Assembly approves the extension of a number of bills to be debated during their next session, deferring sittings to a later date. Plus, Westminster Foundation for Democracy launches the COVID-19 response report at the British High Commission in Fajara. In sports, regional football coaches and referees hone their skills to seek professionalism in administering the game of football during a 5-day training. And in other news, Nigeria's militant group Boko Haram claims responsibility for the abduction of 300 school children in the country. These and many more coming ahead in the news. I'm by Ibrahim Cham. Many thanks for joining us. With the presidency. The President, His Excellency Adam Barrow, and a delegation are into the second phase of the Meet the People's tour as the entourage begins meeting in the Upper River region. It has been an engaging period of discussions with major meetings in the North Bank, Central River and now Upper River regions. Our team of reporters have been embedded in the presidential tour party, and earlier we were joined live on the line by Momodu S. Jallo, who is currently with the tour party in the regional capital of Basse, to talk to us about the president's engagements in the Upper River region. Okay, welcome to the news. First of all, the tour party spent much of the previous weeks in the North Bank and Central River regions. What were the main issues discussed during the first leg of the tour?
Yes, as the president is embarking on a nationwide tour called the Meet the People's Tour, which is constitutionally sanctioned for the president to at least twice in a year go around the country and dialogue with the people of the country, the people who elected him into office, who voted for him to be president of the country, to have an interface or discuss with them and hear from the people what are their needs, what are their developmental needs, the challenges they are facing in their communities in terms of development and other basic services. And this has been top on the agenda of the president's Meet the People. So from day one that he crossed over to the North Bank region, all the way to Upper River region, where currently the president is right at this present moment that I'm talking to you, just 2 meters from where I am, is having a major rally in Sotumasare in the Jemara district, where a major rally is currently taking place by Ibrahim.
Okay, now what has been the message of the president regarding his development objectives?
Yeah, in almost all the meetings where the president spoke, he has been outlining his development agenda that he has for this country. And most of his response has also been based on the needs of the people, because wherever he holds a meeting, the natives of that community would come out and tell him or inform him of their challenges, and these include better healthcare services, access to good clothes, electricity supply, access to clean drinking water. So responding to these demands, the president, and of course his delegation, because he's accompanied by some cabinet ministers, permanent secretaries, deputy permanent secretaries, directors, and other experts in the various sectors, so that they would know exactly what the people of this part of the country want, so that they can work towards addressing these issues. The president has been outlining his development plans, and he has also been speaking about what he has achieved so far in the last 4 years since he came to power, and that he has been emphasizing the need that his government will continue to bring developments to people around the country. This includes healthcare. The president, in most of his meetings, reiterated that his government is committed to boosting the healthcare system, especially in rural Gambia, where the healthcare service, a lot of the desired, and then the president is assuring the people that the healthcare system, health centers will be built, some of the existing will be upgraded, nurses would be sent to some of the health centers that are without the personnel and, of course, without the equipment. With regards to the electricity, the president has been speaking a lot about the electricity supply in the country. A lot of the places, a lot of the villages that the president visited, he has been told by residents that they need electricity supply. And responding to the electricity supply, the president said that he may not give a time frame to some of these communities, but what he knows is that come 2025, the country's electricity needs will be a thing of the past, because according to the president, by 2025, the whole country would have electricity supply. It depends on whether you want electricity or you don't want, but the whole country will have electricity supply by 2025. And this has been one of the key messages that the president has been saying in most of his meetings he has held since day one of the Meet the People.
That was Momodu S. Jallo giving us reports earlier on. Meanwhile, the German ambassador to the Gambia, Stefan Rockin, on Tuesday paid a courtesy call to the Vice President, Dr. Aissatou Toure, at State House. The German diplomat seeks to strengthen the already existing bilateral relations between Berlin and Banjul. Our senior correspondent, Yero Jallo, has more on the Vice President's engagement.
GRTS, shortly after a closed-door meeting with the Vice President, Dr. Aissatou Toure, Ambassador Rockin said that discussion centered on a wide range of issues, including the gains registered by the country in the area of democracy in recent years and how to consolidate those gains.
My last visit was here in January. Then we were very lucky to have the first German diplomat to be here in Banjul, but with COVID, a lot of things have become more complicated. Now we are trying again to develop our liaison office to a real good representation. We have two diplomats from Germany now in Banjul, and we hope that this will last the whole next year. And in diplomacy, communication is a basis. With permanent staff here, we can develop our relations in the political, in the economic, and in the cultural field.
According to Ambassador Rockin, that discussion also include issues of human rights, the economy and tourism, as well as means of strengthening the existing bilateral relationship between Banjul and Berlin. For GRTS News, this is Yero Jallo reporting.
To the legislature now, the National Assembly on Tuesday deferred sittings to a later date. However, lawmakers approved the extension at committee stage a number of bills to be debated during their next session. The member for Serekunda introduced a motion earlier on Monday for the House to rescind a decision they keep on rejecting the bill promulgating the new constitution for the Gambia. Honorable Halifa Saleh and his colleague member for Banjul North shared their thoughts with GRTS. Here's an excerpt.
Brought a motion for the Speaker to allow me to be able to make a motion without notice because of the urgency, so that before the Parliament is adjourned, the motion would have gone through. And the motion was for the Assembly to rescind the decision it took on the 22nd of September 2020 rejecting the second reading of the bill. If that motion was carried, it means that the National Assembly will now have the opportunity to give the minister a second chance to go through the second reading, or as I made in my recommendation to the Assembly, that the minister may even withdraw the bill and allow the National Assembly members to engage in consultation. And the motion was not allowed by the Speaker. So if the motion was allowed, then at the conclusion of the motion, what I had proposed is for the National Assembly member to rescind their decision. Then we go back to 22nd of September 2020. It's like we are reversing the process back to where we started. This is another missed opportunity for the country, that there was a constitutional process that started, but it was stalled, and this was an opportunity. The motion brought by the member for Serakunda, that was yesterday. He intended to bring a motion, it could not pass through, and today he wanted to come with something different about the constitutional building process. But what I'm saying is that I think having a new constitution is in the interest of every Gambian. So I just don't know why National Assembly members could not have seen this. That for me, I believe they should have supported the process. Let's come and review what was brought here before, and then see. It's just a question of horse trading. We don't want this, we want this, and then we negotiate. At the end of the day, we have a win-win. I think this was an opportunity that definitely was a missed opportunity. It's another stall process that now we're just waiting for tomorrow, what is going to happen tomorrow. The government, the executive tasked the Attorney General, as we were told, to engage in consultation, to reach a consensus. And then as far as we're concerned, we have not been approached as far as that consultation is concerned. So we believe that if there is any consultation, it has to be intensified. But the process is going to take longer. If they are going to introduce a bill, it has to take 3 months, 10 days, and then after that, when are we going to have a referendum? So that's the reason why I said that this was a missed opportunity. This was a golden opportunity that we could have really taken advantage of, but we missed it for various reasons, I understand. But I just wanted to implore, had the opportunity been given, had we been allowed, we would have implored on our colleagues to really, support the process. That let's do something about it. Let's start the process now, considering the constitution that we all desire to usher in a third republic. Otherwise, there cannot be any third republic. It's just a continuation of the second republic, as we are still in. I brought.
Away from that, the German Agency for International Development has presented welding materials, agro-processing, safety boots, amongst other inputs, to the Gambian youth entrepreneurs and skilled workers. The event, held at GCCI's Kololi office, is funded by the European Union. Kajata Juara has more on this story.
Officials of the German Agency for International Development believe that promoting and supporting young and promising entrepreneurs will go a long way in contributing to the development of the country. Speaking at the ceremony, the contract and finance expert said the initiative will help in enhancing the productiveness of the youths.
Big congratulations for those that are here today to benefit, because they've gone through all the stages and have to demonstrate outstanding performance for them to be able to get it. And we hope that the packages will go a long way to serve the purpose for which it's being given out.
The head of Component Business Development, Suwaibu Cham, advised the beneficiaries to make best use of the opportunity accorded to them.
By distributing to 194 youths, we created at least one additional job. But that responsibility of the job creation is on your side. Our responsibility is to train you. Our responsibility is to enhance you, to give you equipment to be able to implement what we've trained you.
Mr. Cham pointed out his organization's objective of promoting the lives and livelihoods of Gambians, especially the youths. One of the beneficiaries, Kanyi Ba Kanyi, said the welding materials will help in advancing his work.
I'm so happy about this package today, but I'm so happy it's going to improve me in my life, my business. Yeah, because I'm doing business, welding. I have some materials, but I'm lack some. So the time I applied this mini grant, they called me, they told me that you get the mini grant. I came here, I see the package. I'm so happy about it. I'm so glad about it.
He therefore thanked German Agency for International Development for such initiative and promised to make best use of the materials. Reporting for GRTS News, I am Khadija Tujuara.
Westminster Foundation for Democracy has launched the COVID-19 response report at the British High Commission. The report featured findings covering a broad aspect of marginalized groups during National COVID-19 Response Report. Amenta Isanyang witnessed the presentation of the document at the British High Commission and reports.
The outbreak of coronavirus pandemic has ushered in unprecedented challenges, but women and persons with disabilities are the most affected. Learning from the Gambia's response to COVID-19 and its impact on marginalized groups, Westminster Foundation for Democracy, a body dedicated to supporting democracy around the world, looks at how the global pandemic has affected women and persons with disabilities. The initiative is funded by the British High Commission. Stakeholders involved in this work gathered to give a presentation of the report of the consultative session.
Consideration of this national response that WFD conceived of the idea of looking at the nature, the extent to which this national response was implemented, so as to look at how, efficient, effective, and responsive it has been, and particularly looking at certain sectors of our population. In this case, women and persons with disabilities.
The report featured diverse challenges and the discriminations women and persons with disabilities are faced with in the COVID-19 response process.
If you look at the United Nations Convention on the Rights of Persons with Disabilities, undoubtedly it has enjoined states to ensure that in terms of natural disaster or risky moments, persons with disabilities should be given due consideration in order to exonerate them from difficulties.
We need to have structures in place that would assist women and children. We need to. Government needs to listen to us. We have a ministry, things should go through the ministry to get to women. But it doesn't. So what happens to us? We're left behind. I think we should start looking at women. COVID came, but it already met our problems. And what did it do? It strengthened our problems.
According to actors involved, this work will subject a national response to assessment. The work calls for inclusion during unprecedented circumstances.
As a facilitator for the 3 sessions organized for persons with disabilities, women CSOs, and government officials and NAMs, I can say that these sessions provided the different stakeholders an opportunity to reflect on their experiences, successes, challenges during these challenging times.
The work steered in concerted efforts of various institutions and organizations, featuring lessons, successes and challenges. The British High Commissioner to the Gambia, David Belgrove, reminded the gathering to learn from lessons that COVID-19 has ushered in.
We all have made mistakes during this terrible pandemic. We've also got some things right. But the main thing is that we learn the lessons. As somebody said, everybody makes mistakes, but only a fool refuses to learn from them. I was in Liberia during the Ebola outbreak, and I was also in Liberia when this pandemic came along. And, I was disappointed of how many lessons we'd learned during Ebola, which everybody had forgotten. And reports had been made, and people had forgotten many of the important lessons we learned during that time.
According to officials, the report intervention of policy and decision makers in the future. Aminata is Sanyang, GRTS.
Moving on, Birkama Area Council has launched its toll-free number 1220 at the end of its annual stakeholders conference. The initiative is meant to ensure effective and efficient communication services at the council regarding inquiries, complaints and requests for general services. We have more in this report.
Mandated to provide for the needs and welfare of inhabitants of the area under its jurisdiction, the Birkama Area Council's initiative of holding an annual conference is to foster dialogue with its relevant stakeholders with a view to provide strategic policy advice to maximize opportunities to building a responsive which aims to foster transparency and accountability by giving taxpayers an opportunity to call and launch inquiries as well as complaints. This was launched by the Governor of West Coast Region, Lamin Sane.
Communication is always very important when you come to outreach programs. Once you communicate, maybe on 2 folds. Either you give out or you receive. And in this communication here, we are trying to ensure that the gap that used to exist between the councils and the people is breached.
Deputizing for the Director General of PURA, the Director of ICT, Nicholas Jatta, stated that the council will bear the cost of the toll-free line. However, it will enhance its delivery service in order to serve its inhabitants judiciously.
To be borne by the area council. We need, distinguished gentlemen, to make sure that we are responsible, that we use this service judiciously and only for the purpose it is meant for.
Giving an overview of Birkama Area Council, its CEO, Modu Jonga, said the platform will create more ideas consistent with the Area Council's strategic goals, including waste collection, provision of water and electricity extension, administrative efficiency, amongst others.
The outcome of these sessions will be mainstream into our annual programs and activities, thus significant in informing our policy and interventions in the future. Development is multidimensional, and it requires a deliberate effort, individually and collectively, on the part of each and every one of us here today. There is a great potential to make this region more advanced. We wish to assure our stakeholders that there are no limits in our commitment to building a model and a responsive public service provider in the Council.
The forum will focus on 3 thematic areas: enhancing good governance, bridging the information and communication gap, and maximizing revenue generation. Reporting for GRTS News, I'm by Ibrahim Cham. Now to the Truth Commission, where the retired Army Chief Lieutenant General Langtomong Tamba reappeared before the Truth, Reconciliation and Reparations Commission. Retired General Tamba continued his testimony on a wide range of issues during the 22 years of former President Yahya Jammeh. Danke Ture was following proceedings and now reports.
Following Monday's heated testimony at the Truth Commission, retired General Langtomong Tamba continues his testimony to help unravel the truth on major event that occurred during the 22 years of former President Jammeh and Chief of Defense Staff. He was asked to shed more light on a wide range of issues, including April 2006 arrest of journalist. Tamba denied of being part of the panel involving the said journalist, neither can he remember the event.
And so that is not correct. So the panel that I served, which was about the 2006 coup, I did not even stay too long in that panel. I left that panel very early. The reason being, from giving the opportunity, I will explain why I was removed from the panel that was investigating the coup plotters.
Explaining the composition of the investigation panel of the 2006 coup at NIA, lead counsel Fall revealed that witness testimonies alleged that representatives of state institutions, including the national broadcaster GRTS, were on the orders of former President Jammeh. This position brought a long argument between counsel Fall and the witness, after which former CDS Tamba explained the working methods of the panel.
What do you say to the suggestion that Martin was sent there by the president to watch, to observe what was going on and to be reporting back to him? And not just Martin, but Musa Jammeh and Tumbul Tamba. All 3 of them were there, observing everything that was going on to be reporting to the president. Do you disagree with that?
I can disapprove of something that I suggested, but I never suggested that. That is your own suggestion, counsel.
Yes, Mr. Witness, in fact you did.
At the NIA, several witnesses testified of the illegal forced confessions imposed on them by the state agents through torture, including the case of Bunja Dabo. This the witness disagreed, but however said that activities outside the conference hall is not up to his knowledge.
Witness said he refused to talk. He said he wanted a lawyer. He said it was his constitutional right. And then Martin said to him sternly, do you think we are joking here? And he got up.
And Martin Wulita.
He moved to where the witness was sitting.
Martin Wulita tata tarandia be diamond at Bunja.
Gave him a slap from behind.
And Natana to Koma to Lubung.
And pulled down his clothes.
Narana Dunduko for Namura Bunja, Dunduko Sabala.
Leaving him almost half naked.
Narana Balakan Sentu.
Is that true?
That is not true. That is not true, Council.
A long session for Tamba and Council fell as he recounts on the testimonies of victims that were tortured, allegations Tamba denied.
Did he lie that you guys discussed the brutalization of witnesses?
And so I think this is why me and we are saying again we'll be going front and back. I never said that the junglers were not torturing. So I did say that it was not happening in the panel.
Retired General Lantomban Tamba was the former Chief of Defense Staff of the Gambia Armed Forces and one-time victim of the NIA. Born in 1967 in Sinten Village, West Coast Region, Tamba got enlisted in the Gendarmerie in 1981 and began recruit training at Fajara Barracks. He was then appointed as the Director of Operations at the National Gendarmerie. Eventually, he was appointed as Lieutenant of the Presidential Guard at the State House in Surf under Sadauda Jawara. The former CDS served as Deputy CDS under Asan Sar, Ndul Cham, amongst others, before being promoted to CDS. Sittings continue tomorrow. For the news, I am Janket Toure.
We will be back with sports news right after this break. Do stay with us. Welcome back, and to some soccer news. Regional football coaches and referees have undergone a 5-day training on basic techniques of coaching and refereeing. The program, as we hear in this report by Maud Laminsane, seeks to address professionalism in administering the game of football.
These regional football coaches and referees in the Central River region have been receiving training on basic coaching and refereeing techniques. The Gambia Football Federation supported capacity training was facilitated in partnership with the Gambia Coaches and Referees Association through the Regional Football Association.
This relation that you are seeing within yourself, referees and coaches, take it from here that you are not enemies, you are partners in development. We are all stakeholders for the betterment of this noble game, football. Let's take it seriously and make it as profession, as I normally used to say. Today, you may think that you are here accidentally, but tomorrow you will enjoy it at the best of your level.
The idea here is to increase the number of trained coaches and referees to enhance technical development and understanding of rules of the game.
This is just the beginning. Don't go there and think you have achieved the highest heights in refereeing. It's a beginning, and you need to humble yourself. When you go back to your districts, when you go back to your regions, be humble and try to practice whatever we teach you. We cannot teach you all. There are things you need to also bring from yourself to upgrade yourself.
This scheme is also part of the FIFA Forward 2.0 program that seeks to improve standards in performance as they move to strengthen the development of the game in rural communities.
If you are a referee, don't get involved in the politics of football. If somebody is having problem with your chairman, that has nothing to do with you. Your job, I told you here, is to referee. We want you to referee. We want you to referee. Don't get involved in the politics. Don't get involved. You are not here for a particular person. You are here for this region.
Regional officials perceive the program as a big step towards sustainable growth of football, especially for these coaches and referees looking to make a breakthrough into the elite category.
The most important thing with regards to this training is immediately when you left here, we expect you people to be professionals, because this is the beginning of your training as a professionals. So we expect you to conduct or to do your work with a professionalism. As we all know, refereeing is one of the most important, pillars in football, and coaches the same.
The techniques and skills learned are vital for beneficiaries to advance further in their technical capacities as referees and football coaches.
Honestly, it will help a lot, because as we are aspiring to join the third division qualifiers, so that is going to add our advantage a lot in terms of training tactics, in terms of man management and game planning and so on and so forth. So it is going to help a lot during the course of our qualifiers. It is going to help us a lot. There is a lot that has been learned during these 5 days, and we try to make the best use of it in our training grounds, our match days, and even off the field. We try to know how to manage our players.
From the Central River region, officials of the Coaches and Referees Associations are hoping to conduct similar training programs in other regions across rural Gambia. Modlamin Sane reporting for GRTS Sports from the Central River region.
We will now take another short break, and when we return, we take a look at news beyond our borders. And in the internationals, a Nigerian militant group, Boko Haram, has claimed responsibility for the abduction of 300 students in the country. Gunmen on motorcycles seized the students after storming an all-boys boarding school in the state of Katsina last Friday. Earlier, the Nigerian government said it has negotiated with the suspect but refused to reveal any more details. In 2016, the Islamist group carried out on similar kidnappings. Boko Haram says it is responsible, although there are conflicting reports on the number of children kidnapped. The government says 10 children were kidnapped, while other sources have said over 200 boys were abducted. CGTN Sadiq Bindawa reports.
There are conflicting reports about the number of kidnapped school children. Malam Garba Shehu, who is a senior special assistant to President Buhari, in an interview with newsmen has disagreed with the figures. Malam Garba Shehu said only 10 school children were missing during the attack. Meanwhile, according to the report from the governor of Katsina State and the state education authorities, who are much closer to the school, said the school has a population of 839, and they are yet to account for 333 students. This means the governor told the federal government delegation during the place of the attack. That means, according to the state government, only 333 students were missing during the attack, and they were yet to be found. And also there were reports, according to one of the boys, who luckily enough happened to escape in the morning, told reporters that in that night, while they were trekking, they were asked to be counted, and there were 520 of them who were with their abductors. According to him, he told reporters. So clearly there are conflicting figures, but whatever the numbers are, there are a large number of students, above 200, still in captivity at the hands of the government that need to be urgently saved and bring them back to their own families.
Now to the escalation of diplomatic spate between Somalia and Kenya. Somalia has announced it has cut ties with the neighboring country. Somalia's Minister of Information accuses Kenya of interfering and violating Somalia's sovereignty and territorial integrity. The development came hours after President Uhuru Kenyatta held talks with Somaliland President in Kenya. Mogadishu says it will withdraw all its diplomats from Kenya and has ordered Kenyan diplomats to leave the country within 7 days. On November 29th, Somalia sent envoy to Kenya for consultation, accusing Nairobi of interference with Mogadishu's electoral process. Moving on, a quick look at the weather forecast from the Central Forecast Office. curtains for this newscast, but here's a quick recap of our top stories. President Adama Barrow has entered the second phase of his Meet the People's tour as the entourage begins meetings in the Upper River region. Vice President Dr. Aissatou Toure have been discussing with the German diplomat means of strengthening ties between Banjul and Berlin during a court-to-court at State House. Deputies at the National Assembly has approved the extension of a number of bills to be debated during their next session, deferring sittings to a later date. Plus, the Westminster Foundation for Democracy has launched the COVID-19 response report at the British High Commission in Fajara. In sports, regional football coaches and referees have been honing their skills to seek professionalism in administering the game of football during a 5-day training. And in other news, Nigeria's militant group Boko Haram has claimed responsibility for the abduction of 300 school children in the country. Well, that was all we had in this edition of GRTS News. Have a pleasant evening.